Welcome to Awesome Journeys Leadership Learning Insight video series. My name is Eric Kroll, and I am the founder and CEO of Awesome Journey. Today, I'd like to share with you the three components of deep listening. Why deep listening, you ask? Well, my personal opinion is it's a very important piece. Why? I get asked a lot, whether in personal settings, professional settings. Hey, Eric, what are the key qualities of a top executive? I say there's many, but the number one that tops the list is deep listening. And what I mean by that is this statement: all speaking comes from your listening. Let me say it again. This is a very important statement that'll make more sense by the end of this 10-minute video, but I'll say it one more time. All speaking comes from your listening. So come journey with me, and I'll tell you more about what are the three components of deep listening. The first component of deep listening is, where do you listen from? Do you listen from a place of what I would start with being fixing? And when you're in a mindset of fixing, you walk into any conversation listening for what's wrong or what's broken, and therefore you're instantly into a communication mode of telling, not asking, and you're not empowering, and people become disengaged. Second place where you listen from is listening from a place of helping. When you listen from a place of helping, you walk into any conversation in a mindset of, I need to rescue somebody because they don't have the expertise I have, they don't have the knowledge I have, and they don't have the confidence that I have. So I better tell them what to do so we can get this project done on time and on budget. When you do that, you revert back to the mode of communication being telling versus asking. You shut down dialogue, and people are not empowered and engaged. Third place where you listen from is what I would call, I listen from a place of supporting. And when I'm listening from a place of supporting, I walk into any communication with the intention to connect and co-create. And when I do that, I engage with people, I empower people, because I'm in a place of asking questions versus a place of telling. And when I do that, I create action over there with others because I'm listening from a place of connecting and co-creating to support and empower others. The second key component of a deep listener is, what can you hear in any conversation? If I was coaching you, or one of the members of my team was coaching you, we would teach you in the order of 20 different elements of a deep listener. But for this short video, I'm going to share with you 6, and I will highlight 3. The 6 are, can you hear complaints? And every complaint comes with a hidden request. 2, can you hear the language of accountability or non-accountability? 3, can you hear vague or intentional speaking? 4, can you hear a concern not only as a problem, an issue of frustration, but can you hear the deep care that comes with a concern? 5, can you hear emotions? Can you hear the difference between love-based emotions, like enthusiasm, or fear-based emotions, like anger? And the last one is, can you hear future, or do you hear past? So let's dig into 3 of them. First one is, when you hear complaints, can you hear the hidden request? So let me give you an example. You're the CFO of a company, and your controller comes in and says, Eric, I've been collecting feedback from the team because they're pretty disengaged with your meeting, and I thought I'd go around and just ask why they're so disengaged. And here's the feedback I'd like to give you, Eric. Are you open to it? Absolutely. Shoot. First reason why they're disengaged is it's an update meeting. It's purely a monologue on your part. There's no dialogue, and people are like, why do I waste my time? Second piece is, people are not coming to your meeting prepared to participate because it's simply a monologue. So they're disengaged. And the third reason is the meeting never starts on time and it never ends on time. So they're frustrated. In that moment, when you collect that feedback, do you get triggered? Or can you hear the hidden request that your controller and the team want to support you at making your meeting more engaging, more empowering, and more generative for future with the whole team being involved in the conversation. In that moment, because you can hear the hidden request, you say, Jim, I really appreciate the feedback. Here's my request I'd like to make of you. I'd like for you and the team to put together a templated agenda and then take the next month and rotate it amongst the team in leading the meeting so that I can see where my blind spots are, so that I can learn from you guys because of this quality feedback you gave me. That is deep listening. Second place, can you hear accountability? Do you hear non-accountable language, and can you hear accountable language? When you hear non-accountable language, you hear things like, I guess, I assume, we should, I'll try, maybe. So let me give you an example. When you hear non-accountable language, you got to bring accountable language, which is, I will, I can, I do, I know, I choose. You're sitting in a meeting with your executive team and you ask your vice president of sales, did you tell the client that they will be paying for the change fees as a result of that new project we started with them? And your vice president of sales says, I assume we told the client that they'd be paying for the change fees. If you step over that word, I assume we told the client, I guarantee you in 3 weeks to a month when they get their first invoice with a substantially different number than the number that was in the proposal, you're going to be cleaning up a frustrated client. So when you hear I assume, you're going to slow down and say, do we assume or do we know? Challenge your people to speak from the place of the language of accountability. The third one I'm going to share with you is concerns. With every concern comes a deep care. So let's share an example. You're sitting in your office and your vice president of operations comes by and says, Eric, you got a minute? I say, sure, what's up, Bill? I was just a little concerned of why my bonus was 30% less than my peers. In that moment, do you hear a vice president who feels entitled, who is not a team player and has a negative attitude and is not grateful for what he received in terms of a bonus? Or do you pause, you breathe, and you hear the deep care attached to that concern? Can you hear him bringing courage to the conversation? Can you hear his deep desire to learn and to improve? And you hear his loyalty to the company? If you can hear that care, you can design a conversation that would sound like this. Bill, I deeply appreciate you coming to my office to explore why your bonus was 30% less than your peers. I'd like to share that with you. One, I thought you did a good job of getting those 3 projects done on time and budget. But you did all those projects, you worked tons of extra hours, and you weren't strategic about involving your team. So I appreciate this. What I'd like is to give you my word that if you will involve your team, be strategic with them, and start to really empower your people to do what they need to do, I will give you my word that your bonus will be what you want it to be next year. Can you hear, with every concern, deep care? That's a deep listener. Third component of being a deep listener is, what are the 3 practices that you use to become a deep listener? First one, power of the pause. I've alluded to it a couple times already. When you get emotionally triggered in any conversation, are you able to get yourself back in the conversation by listening in this context? You pause, you breathe, and in that moment when you're triggered, you say, is this a threat or is this an opportunity? I probably will breathe 3 to 5 more times just saying that. Is this a threat or is this an opportunity? When you finally get to a place there's an opportunity, then you'll say, is this an opportunity for me to listen? Is this an opportunity for me to ask another question? Or is this an opportunity for us to park this for 24 hours to allow you time to sit with the ideas that right now are triggering you, but you want to stay in the conversation with your team, so we park it for 24 hours and then come back to it. Second practice, be intentional before you walk into any conversation, whether phone, text, email, or face-to-face, by simply saying this to yourself. What is my intention for this conversation? Is it to connect? Is it to be curious? Is it to be open? Is it to be teachable? Just practice it tonight. When you walk in the house to your family after a busy day as a leader, You walk in the house, before you walk in, you say to yourself, what is my intention when I walk through that door? You might want to just practice. My intention is to be present to my family and support them. Try that. It's a great practice for deep listening. Third one is clarify meaning. Numerous times, we all have this on a daily basis. You're sitting in a meeting and somebody in your team says, we really got to step up our client service to the client because they're frustrated. Or, guys, we really need to improve our performance in order to be able to execute on this project. I don't know what those mean. And if I step over those, we are going to have vague communication that leads to poor coordination of action that we're going to have to clean up later. So when you hear vague words like, we need to step up our client service to client, pause, breathe, and then say, what do you mean by client service? Is it quality? Is it responsiveness? Is it expertise or accountability they're looking for? Get clarity of meaning, which will support coordinating action effectively and not having to spend a lot of time cleaning messes up on the back end because everybody was not clear about what was said. In conclusion, I leave you with a leadership challenge. That's what we do as leadership coaches. We support and challenge our clients. So I leave you with this question. Which of the three components of deep listening do you need to strengthen in order to transform your business? Number one, where do I listen from? 2, what can I hear in every conversation? And 3, what practices do I need to deepen in order to become a deep listener? At Awesome Journey, we are committed to awakening leaders to their greatness. So if you're looking for more information on how we can support you, please check us out on our website at www.awesomejourney.ca. Thank you for being present and thank you for listening.